Good morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody, party people in the house. It's your favorite Unc here. I'm back. It is Wednesday. Man, it is power rankings day, all kinds of things. It's time to renew your spirits day, right? It's all right. The weekend happened, Kentucky happened. We're kind of at that midweek point where you kind of start getting your optimism back and looking forward to the rest of the season and hey, what's potentially could happen. Like, you know, hell, at the end of the day, y'all, as bad as it's been, hey, at the end of the day, you can say to yourself, well, no matter what, Texas is winning these games. If it's ugly wins, if they can just get through it, they're still in playoff contention, right? So there's some reason to be optimistic, right? But nonetheless, we are going to do power rankings and stuff today. We'll take your super chats if those things are in there. Man, what a crazy week it has been. What a crazy week it's been for your favorite unk. But nonetheless, here we are. So let's get it started. All right, man. This is one of my favorite days of the week. Because it's usually like the power rankings day, and get a chance to kind of go through kind of my thought processes / rationales as to where everything is. So let's get started by first. I'd like to just go and see where Texas is in the other polls before we get started in what my poll is. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's here in the chat who got in here early, the Stephanies, the Sailors, Patrick, Chris Nelson. I don't know where Rodolfo is. I have not seen him. Money B is always here. T is here. Patrick's here. I don't know where Rodolfo is. I was thinking about him today. Courts, of course, my man is here. Somebody put an APB out on Rodolfo. Make sure Young Buck's all right. I want to make sure Young Buck's doing okay. All right. So anyway, wait. Mark Anthony, before I get started, let me see what this question is here. How much you need to ask Sark? Do you want to be a head coach at Texas or head OC? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it would take for me to ask that one, right? I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure how adversarial I want to be with the questions that I want to ask him. So I know where Mark. I get where your head's at. I get where y'all's heads at. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I did not expect that question and answer to take off the way it did. It's one of these things like it's like I always tell people, like, man, if I knew how to do stuff to go viral, like I do that damn thing every day. It's like I like when people are like clickbait. It's like, well, everything on the internet's designed to be clicked. If I knew how to do that, I would literally do it every day. Like it's when things happen, it happens by happenstance, not necessarily by by intentions. But it was really interesting, and thank you, Patrick, for asking a much needed question. I appreciate it. The only thing I feel bad about, I'm going to tell you one thing I feel bad about the whole situation, that whole thing. Not the answers, not the question, not the answer, not the response. I feel bad, honestly. I feel bad for the Austin media members who everybody basically has been calling like chicken blank, and telling them like, you don't ask real questions. I was the only one to ask real questions. I'm like, hey man, I don't need these people trying to jump me in the parking lot. Can y'all calm down? It is funny because I saw some of y'all that tweeted at me and stuff like that. Like I saw like a tweet from like I think Michelle and things like that, and these props are like, hey, you asked real questions, and I'm like, man, look, man, I don't need no problems. I don't want no. Like I'll take the problems, but I don't need these problems. So that's the only thing I felt bad about. I was like, damn, they just killing everybody else in Austin. But at the end of the day, sometimes the questions have to be asked, and Sark's a professional. And, I mean, hell, he gets paid 10, 11 million dollars a year. Shit, he can definitely take those questions. All right, let's get into that though. Let's get into our top 25. Let's get into our top 25. Y'all can see where Texas is. I mean, look, this is why I said it's a weird thing to what I'm always fascinated too, by the way, the pictures that my producer uses. I say I this is what my request is before every show. Oh, not every show, Wednesday show. I always ask him like, "Hey, can you get put together an AP poll for me and a coaches poll?" I just, like, and then he's like, "Okay," and he goes from there. And I'm always fascinated by the picture that he uses because that reminds me of like when Sark made that comment about I don't know what kind of face you make when you go to the bathroom. That's what that, because they talked about Arch. That looks like the face that Arch might make if he went to the bathroom. I don't know. It was an interesting picture, nonetheless. Ohio State, number one. Sark's had some interesting press conference moments this year, hasn't he? He's had some real interesting press conference moments. I got Indiana at number two. Y'all already know what time it is with them. Texas A&M. I kind of we talked about them before, and I was probably on our staff. Was one of the first that really started giving Texas A&M some love, and people were like, "Oh, you like Texas A&M?" I was like, "Actually, I think they're actually kind of a decent program this year. Like this is all BS aside, like all jokes aside. Like I think they're actually kind of good this year." And so far they have been. There's a question of okay, people ask me like, "Oh, have they played anybody of real significance?" And they beat Notre Dame, and that counts. And you'd say to yourself, okay, well, what about the others? And they're going to go into a little bit of the meat of the schedule. They've got LSU this upcoming weekend, Missouri, South Carolina, which is not that good, Samford, and then Texas, right? So, have they played a bunch of killers? Not necessarily, but they're getting the wins. And so, I get it as far as they are concerned. Alabama at 4, Georgia at 5, just a little bit of a slip there. You can see how it kind of fills out the rest. And Vanderbilt at the 10th spot. And then that's another program, you know, I remember when people gave me a little bit of a tough time. Catch gave me a tough time a few weeks ago about, oh, Vanderbilt, you're Vanderbilt. And I'm like, man, I think they're a good program. So now look, I'll take that victory lap because hell, I thought South Carolina would be much better than they are, right? So there's some L's in here, right? There's some definite L's. I thought South Carolina would be a really good team this year. They're trash. Absolute trash. Okay. And then you go to the end of it. You still got Tech that's ranked in there. Did anybody rank Arizona State? Well, that's interesting. That's interesting that Arizona State is. That's fascinating how Arizona State could have knocked off Tech, but then still be ranked behind them. It's a fascinating thing, but nonetheless, my South Florida Bulls at 18 in the 88 in the AP poll. They're gonna my coach is gonna be gone after the end of the season. That's what it's like when you're at a lower level program. You could have some success, and then someone's gonna poach your coach, and then you're just back to back to the Charlie Strong years. That's the craziest thing, by the way, to have to deal with Charlie as the coach here. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I don't have to worry about Charlie anymore. And then he coaches USF. I'm like, are you serious right now? And that didn't go well. So happy to see that. All right, let's get into the coaches poll. Let's get into that, what that looked like. And you got Texas at the 18 spot. So there's this is what the coaches were. A good photo of Sark right there. It looks like a model kind of photo right there. But John Bianco in the background. Shout out to John Bianco. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas, and that's not sarcasm. I don't want nobody to go back and it was clowning you, John. No, like props to John. John's cool. Only Alice complains about John right now. No, those things for me are so dead. A&M at the 3 spot, Bama, Georgia. You can see how it fills out the rest. Georgia Tech in there. Ole Miss after their big win is up there. You got Miami, BYU, Oklahoma still holding it down there at that 11th spot. You got Texas down there at the 18th spot, just ahead of LSU's South Florida, Cincinnati. So, the thing is, that's what I'm saying, y'all. this is the crazy part. And I'm not trying to hit the renewal button on hopes and expectations. We've seen this product so far, right? But I think the other part that you got to just tell yourself with 5 games left is, all right, man, let's just see if Texas can get through this thing. I said 5. Is it 5? Yeah, I think that number's right. Yeah, 5. If let's just see what Texas if Texas can just get through these next few weeks. I mean, at the end of the day, if you could just win ugly as bad as it is, then yeah, if you're Sark, you just want to get to the finish line, and then you can grandstand on me at the end of the season and say, well, Onward, you're the one that's asked me, should I give up play calling? And look at us. Look, I would love that. Wouldn't we all love that, by the way? Wouldn't we love it if by the time we got to the end of the year, Sark was able to like middle finger everybody and say, look at my offense and how it came alive versus Mississippi State, right? Wouldn't it be great if that's what we're talking about? The offense came alive and then all of a sudden they're protecting against Mississippi State. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hoping and dreaming right now. I promise you I haven't used any rogue products, right? Rogue products this morning. But no, it's just something to think about, right? All right. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's get into where my power rankings are for this week here. Want to hear it? Well, here it go. Power rankings, week 9. I got Alabama, team I wasn't high on before the season. But after they opened up with that loss against FSU, I was like, well, here we go again. But since then, Alabama has looked like a really good team, a really good program. They beat the hell out of Tennessee this past weekend, 37-20. And now you start looking at Alabama. You can see, okay, they've got a win against Georgia. They've got a win against Vanderbilt. I mean, this is the last 4 games. They've defeated Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee. And the Tennessee was in convincing fashion. Vanderbilt was by double digits. They're hot right now, man. That's a hot team right now. And Bama, okay, Kalen DeBoer, hey, props to you and everything you're doing right there. Ole Miss, they're at that number. They're at the number 2 spot for me. With that loss, they still had that loss against Georgia. I didn't drop them too much, for that loss against Georgia. The hard part for me was just trying to figure out, okay, well, who did I want to rank ahead of them? I just didn't want to penalize them too much for that because there's Texas A&M, and you tell yourself, well, why you could have bumped Texas A&M ahead of Ole Miss. I could have. But the thing is, so far in SEC play, they've played Auburn, which is god-awful, Mississippi State, which, okay, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want that to come back and bite me in the ass. Florida, which you could say, well, hell, Texas couldn't beat, and Arkansas. But nonetheless, these aren't teams that we consider to be that elite. Mississippi State's the only good one there. They've got one good win, which is Notre Dame. I like A&M. I just like Ole Miss a little bit better. If they were going to play each other today, I would go with Ole Miss. That ended up being the tiebreaker for me. I have got Vandy at the 4th spot. I moved them up 3 for that one. I just like. I mean, look, what's there not to like about Vandy at this moment, right? I mean, what is there not to like? They're real. They're legit. They went and did what they needed to do. They beat LSU, and with a 31-24 victory. At this point. So at this point, like you look at Vandy, and you've got to say like that team is legit. They have one loss, and that loss was against Alabama. Outside of that, this is a team. If I have to put it in perspective, and this is wild ass perspective that I'm about to say this. This is a team that's bowl eligible before Texas at this moment. Yeah, I said that. They got 6 wins. They're 6-1. They're bowl eligible before Texas at this moment. All right. Okay. Did that? I hope. All right. I know that probably put somebody in a bad mood. Georgia. They have the win versus Ole Miss. Probably really could have honestly maybe had Georgia ahead of Vanderbilt. I might redo this, but I think Georgia probably should have been ranked ahead. Actually, Georgia. I want to redo this. Georgia needs to be ranked ahead of Vanderbilt. In fact, let me tell Catch that. Let me tell him to switch Georgia and Vanderbilt. And I realize that as I'm going through that, I'm like, nah, I don't like this. Hold on, let's do this one. Thank you. Yeah, that's a misprint. We need Georgia should be ahead of Vanderbilt. That's a misprint there. So we'll get that thing taken care of behind the scenes. We got Missouri there. Missouri is one of those teams that, that's another team that I like to sleep on a lot. And I always like to talk crap about that team. They do beat Auburn in 2 overtimes. And I can tell you, I can say, well, damn, I don't think Auburn's that good, but that doesn't matter because Kentucky, Texas had to beat Kentucky in overtime, right? So I got to be careful with how I say it. Their only losses against Alabama. They haven't really beaten anybody of substance. If we're just keeping it a buck, when I look at Missouri, their wins are against Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, South Carolina, UMass, and Auburn. They faced one really good team, which was Alabama, and they lost. Now, 3-point loss, by the way, so not the worst loss in the world. But they've got Vandy coming up, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Arkansas. They're about to get into the meat of their schedule, and I think we'll know a little bit more about Vandy, where they are, if they're a true playoff contender or not. Then there's, we got Tennessee. They drop a little bit for their loss. Mississippi State. I mean, I don't know what to do with them. They lost to Florida. But the problem is, once I get past some of these other programs, I'm just like, in Mississippi State, should they be ranked ahead of Texas? Maybe not. But then at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know what Texas has done necessarily at this moment. So we're kind of stuck in the Texas thing and what to really do with them. So Mississippi State, only because of that win against Arizona State, will they get any kind of love from me. And thank you, Tyler, for the update, man. You're the man. Hold on. There you go. Just like that, Georgia is ahead of Vanderbilt. Just like that. I appreciate you, man. And then, of course, I've got Oklahoma at the 10th spot. Oklahoma came back, beat South Carolina 26-7. I just did not anticipate, I'll be honest with y'all, I did not. We all have our preseason narratives, right? I just thought South Carolina would be more of a playoff contender than they are. Not necessarily that they would be that dude, right? But just be better than this. I didn't realize that they would have an offensive line that you want to complain about Texas. Look at South Carolina. Look at Lenore Sellers running around for his damn life. But they've lost every team that they played with for polls. They've lost to Vanderbilt, Missouri, LSU, Oklahoma. They are 3-4. Like what I thought they would do. I really, what I really thought might happen. I thought that Beamer would have a really good season, and then because of that really good season, Oklahoma would just say, you know what, this is the guy that we need to hire to replace Venables. As it stands, Venables might be in. Well, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know because we still got to see what Oklahoma does. Oklahoma is they're about to face their gauntlet now. They've got Ole Miss at Tennessee, at Alabama. They've got Missouri. They've got LSU. Okay, so I don't know how many more games they're going to win. I don't see, are they going to beat Ole Miss? Probably not. Are they going to beat Tennessee? Probably not. Alabama, I doubt it. Missouri could be a coin flip, and maybe they beat LSU. So I think the road gets a little bit tougher for Oklahoma. We'll see. LSU, man. Well, I was never high on them. I take it back. I think I was okay on them to start the season, and then I think I may have had them ranked number 1 after their victory against Clemson. But then again, we didn't realize that Clemson would suck. Now Clemson's ranked number 4, but LSU's lost to Ole Miss. They've lost to Vanderbilt. This is one of these teams that just is kind of meandering along. They're hell. You talk about frustrated fan bases, Texas fan base, LSU fan base. I don't know who's more frustrated at the moment. Probably LSU because at least Texas has had some success to lean on. You've got Florida there. It's frustrating. They do get the win against Mississippi State. That doesn't mean that helped Billy Napier keep his job. He was gone. He was going to be fired. All the rumors had it that he was going to be fired if they lost against Texas, but he did not. And so because they didn't, that gave him a little bit of a stay of execution. They go out and get beat pretty good by Texas A&M. And then after when they beat Mississippi State, but everyone was done at that point. So that ends up being over. Auburn, what an interesting season this has been for Auburn. You realize that Auburn's actually lost their last 4 games? After starting off 3-0 with in a decent win against Baylor. Now, 3-0, let's put a caveat on that, okay? They beat Baylor, Ball State, and South Alabama. Since then, they've lost to Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Missouri. All ranked teams. But at the end of the day, when people said, hey, maybe this could be a good year for Hugh Freeze, they've got a lot of talent on the team. Have not seen that. Kentucky, it is what it is. You got South Carolina, which I've already complained enough about, and Arkansas. And you know what's crazy about Arkansas? They barely lose to Texas A&M. They actually put up a fight. Arkansas has lost their last 5 games. And obviously the most embarrassing loss was the Memphis loss, right? But outside of the Memphis loss, it's been Ole Miss, it's been Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was the blowout, right? Their last 2 games, though, they've been way more competitive. Having a coaching change, I think, has helped them. They're way more competitive. That's a team that lost to Tennessee on the road, 34-31. We watched that Texas A&M game, right? So we know that they're competitive. Like, this is one of those things that once you start getting down the line for Texas and what that schedule is going to look like for Texas, that's one of those games I look at all of them, quite honest with y'all. I look at all of them and I say, oof. Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Georgia, Arkansas, A&M. They lose. If you lose to Mississippi State this week, then you'll probably have at least one more. If you're Texas, what you really want to do is just run the table. Can you do it with this offensive line? Probably not. But can you do it with this defense? Hopefully. We'll see what it looks like and what the defense looks like without a Michael Taft in there. But Arkansas is one of those teams that I'm just going to say don't sleep on them because I think if you sleep on them, it's not going to go well. All right, so let's look at this upcoming weekend. Look at this slate of games that is going to be occurring for all y'all who are not making the trip to Mississippi. Y'all ain't joining me? Is anybody going? Is it just me? Is it me by myself? Well, anyway, Let's see. I know some of y'all went to last week's game to Kentucky because y'all wanted to go on the bourbon tours. I know my crew. All right. Interesting games this weekend. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. I think we will be watching that. I think most of you guys will be watching that to see what that looks like for either one of those teams. These are we're getting close to all these games have playoff implications at this moment. All these games got playoff implications at this moment. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. You've got Auburn at Arkansas. I like that. That should be an interesting game. Somebody has got to win. Missouri at Vanderbilt. That one was at the 2:30 time. So, that's close to. If you guys do that 4-box thing, that might be one that you put up on the 4-box with the Texas one, or do the 2-box with them. You've got Alabama at South Carolina. Texas at Mississippi State, which is on the SEC network, apparently. Well, that's not sexy. That's not sexy at all. Texas A&M at LSU. Of course, it's a night game. Why wouldn't it be? And then you got Tennessee at Kentucky, which none of us should really care about. So realistically, the most interesting games are going to be the Ole Miss at Oklahoma. Obviously, all of us will be watching Texas. I'll be there. And then, of course, for the nightcap, if you guys are in a good mood, and hopefully you're in a good mood, then you watch Texas A&M at LSU. If you're not in a good mood, then you ain't watching none of it. And you got Florida and then Georgia with the bye weeks. In addition to that, don't forget our postgame show. Don't forget our postgame show. Those guys will be live from the Texas Courthouse off of 183, right by that aquarium. I've never gone into that aquarium though. I don't know how to feel about an aquarium in a strip plaza. Right? I mean, if you ever lived in like a big city, right? Aquariums are really big and huge. And they've got this aquarium, but it's in a strip plaza that's you got the Texas Card House on one side, you got the strip plaza. There's like, I think, a Japanese restaurant. I think there's like a record store there. I don't know if Emler Swim School is still there. Like, I don't know. But anyway, check out the postgame show because we'll be going live with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So make sure you check that one out. And to make sure also, there's some super chat. There's a super chat that came in. My man T. I want to make sure. What are the top 3 good things that Sark has done as a coach during this current season? All right, top 3. Well, I would say so far defense would be 1. I would say, the defense has been pretty solid all year long. T. The Florida game was probably the only anomaly so far. Everything else, I would say, so having a good defense in place has probably been part of it. We've also seen Colin Simmons coming along lately as a part of that defense, right? And so that's been good. What's up, Top? So I'm gonna say that would be 1. Special teams, obviously, now over the last couple of weeks has gotten better. Mainly Ryan Niblett, if we just being honest. Some of the others, and really Ryan, was kind of struggling before that. You remember the Oklahoma game before he took it back for the touchdown. He let a ball bounce a little bit too far back. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? But special teams has gotten better. If you're looking for a third, I've got nothing for you. I got nothing on offense for you. So we won't go there. If anything, I would say him using Mason Shipley has been a better thing. Getting the points has been better. I've actually liked that strategy a little bit more. It hasn't lost, knock on wood, hasn't lost any recruits so far for the 2026 class. So I would say that's probably been a positive. I think I've given you 4 things so far. I'm trying to see if I can think of a fifth. Um, those are the main things. Those are but I've got nothing. If you're looking for something offense, I ain't got it. I ain't. We'll hold off on that. What it do, Calvin? Good to see you there. And JD wants to know, what's your problem with water zoos? And Stephanie says it's gross and smelly. Don't go. I've never gone, Stephanie. The whole thing of an aquarium and strip plaza just looks weird to me. The whole thing it don't. An aquarium is supposed to be like a big thing, man. I've been to aquariums in major cities. That one just looks like is not one to go to. Let me make sure Let me make sure there's no more super chats that came in. I don't want nobody to say, oh man, like I put a super chat in and this thing here. So I got USD. All right, I did a super chat. All right, T is the only one. T got paid, so T was dropped that in there. Yeah, that's it. Today, let me see. We're gonna take my prospect show. Sark will talk to the media some 12:30 on the SEC conference call. That's not something that's readily available for y'all. Sark will address the media also tomorrow as well. I mean, lots of things on Sark's plate, but he can handle it. That's it, y'all. Man, go out there, have a great day, fantastic day. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Man, these we're getting a ton of views right now for our videos. I don't know where we popular at. I don't know. I might be hitting it I might be banging in India or something like that. I might be popular in some Asian culture. I don't know. Like that. I don't know where we're popular at, but that might be a place I need to go visit. I might be a star in have y'all seen the Cape Verde things? Fellas, if you haven't and you've been on X, if you haven't, just look up Cape Verde. I might be popular over there. I don't know. Nonetheless, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Go out and do something special for yourself. Do something amazing. You absolutely deserve it. So I'll be back tomorrow and then, of course, on Friday as well. All right. Y'all go out. Have a fantastic day. And we'll